Hello, good evening, happy Friday. So I'm coming to you around 9 p.m. on a Friday evening, and I was supposed to actually go live about 2 hours ago, and then I just got really carried away with some of the stuff I'm creating, and I got into this really creative bubble, so I feel really good about that. So the thing I was going to share today isn't quite ready, so I'm going to tweak it, and just got a few things, and then a couple of other things came in needing my attention, and I've just been playing around with all these things. So I am going to share my new 2023 offering very, very soon. But I wanted to just jump on, and I kind of got inspired in this flow to just briefly talk about this, one of the biggest manipulations on this planet. There are many, but this one just kind of came to me this evening, and it's this manipulation that somehow on this planet over the years we've created this idea that there are creative people and then people who aren't creative. So we've kind of got this idea that creative people are people that, pick up a paintbrush, they make pottery, they make some kind of art, maybe they're an artist, they sing, whatever, creative. And isn't that a great manipulation? Because what it's done over the decades, I imagine, is kind of erode this idea that we, more than an idea, erode this truth that we are what we talk about a lot, right? Creator beings. And creator beings means that we came into the planet to not just live a life of enslavement and just going through the motions, paying the bills, paying the mortgage, dropping the kids off, taking a packed lunch in to work, like yawn. We didn't come here for that. We came here to create, and we came here to create from our, body that we chose for this life. We've never been in this one before. So we came to create from a really new perspective, which is why our life is so sacred. And we are by nature creative. So everything that we do, and I know that a lot of you know this, but I want to just remind you again, these are always reminders. We came here to create, so we create with our thoughts, our emotions, our energy field, our focus, our choices, our behaviors, our directions, and everything that you've got in your life, whether you like it or whether you don't right now, you've participated in the creation of it in some form or another. So we are beautifully creative. So this kind of very convenient idea, right, that they've created not created, they've kind of distorted actually, this what we have on this planet, that we are creator beings. So I know that sometimes when I have when I connect with people and we have these conversations, sometimes people really say to me that they feel like they're not creative, and it makes my heart just want to sing out loud to them that they are creators. Because if you think about it, and if you're not sure, even if you're doubting yourself, rewind in your mind to when you were, hey Lara, rewind in your mind to when you were little at some point. And obviously we've all had different life experiences, and some of us had bit better and easier childhoods than others, but take your mind back to some time in your life when you were younger, before you started getting self-conscious. You would have played, you would have created, you would have just done things with abandonment. And a lot of the times when people start to tap into who they really are, we kind of tap into this part of us that when we were young, we already knew this, we already had this inside of us. So I had a client once actually, and we were drilling down into this, and she was really connecting more and more. And one of the things that came in for her, I just remembered that she'd forgotten that she loves to sing. And I asked her, like, when was the last time? And she said it's been decades. It was probably when she was a child. She used to sing all the time. So I encouraged her, like, okay, over the next couple of weeks before we meet again for the next session, what happens if you allow yourself to sing? And then when she came back, I tell you, she was like a changed woman. So it's not that she wanted to necessarily do it as a career, but that's what we do as adults, right? We kind of make it into how we're going to make a living out of it, but it's just expression. So she came back, and because there was a part of her soul connected into this creative part of her, the one that just wanted to sing and express and release, she was like 10 years younger. Her energy field was lighter. She was happier. She just felt happier. So we can always go back to a point in time when we were younger. We were small children growing up. Like, we were creative. So I want you to know, whenever you're receiving this message, that you are a highly creative being. It's not that there are people who are creative and you're not. You are by nature creative. So it's just a question of what do you want to create. And then I'm a big fan of deliberate creation. So rather than accidentally creating things in your life that you're not really, in love with, create on purpose. And the other thing is the same as spiritual. We've got like this question goes around, are you spiritual? Oh, I'm spiritual. Are you spiritual? Everybody is. Every single person on the planet, whether they believe it or not, they are spirit, soul in a human body, higher consciousness. So it's just, again, it's whether you're connected to it or not. So you are spiritual, you're spiritually connected, you're, even unconsciously, right, you're still connected. You're creative, you're a creative being. So you've got all this incredible power inside of you. So I just want to remind you, because I was really in touch with mine this evening. I was like, in this flow, I was just creating. I was going to do this live stream nice and early, and it's like 9 p.m. now. But I was on this kind of, this little flow, and I was just having fun, like doing my little things, like creating new things, working on a few things in my business that for me is really fun and creative. So you are creative too. And some of us just, maybe we live in touch with it more. So, I really see this all the time. Levels of joy in life are so linked to creativity. People who are creative allow themselves to be in that creative flow, whether that's gardening, cooking, dancing around the house, singing, playing. My God, there's so many different shapes and forms, but people who tap into that are generally, they're healthier, they've got higher levels of well-being, they're more in tune, they're more in the flow, and I find they're more resilient in life, right? So sometimes we have moments where we're not in touch with that creativity. So I encourage you just to allow yourself to tap into it. Ask yourself the question, right? What do you love? Like, what do you love doing? What feels fun? What feels flow? And allow that to be an expression, because it's such a big part of life, right? Such a big part. And when I got really ill, when I got major burnout, if I look back now, and I kind of like to analyze that in my mind, and I'm like, yeah, I was at the time of the height of my burnout, I was not tapped into creativity, not in the way that I am now. So it was like there was a part of my soul that used to feel like it was just shriveling right inside, and that's how it felt. So it's like life force energy for us as creative beings. So so Lara, I love it. I have to say, creating really helps me. It's such a big part of me. Yeah, and it is, because you're a human in this life, and it's going to be a big part of you, and it's going to be a big part of every single person watching this message later on the replay. So even if you just kind of already have this like filter on yourself saying, I'm not a creative person, I lovingly encourage you to drop that and tap back into some of the things you just like doing. Create, because we're creating all the time, even with our thoughts, right? So there's like 1,000 million ways we get to be creative. But interesting, on this planet we've been primed with this idea that it's only the people with the paintbrushes, right, or the pottery, or the kind of more obviously looking ways of being creative. But I can't paint to save my life, but there are loads of other ways that I'm creative, right? So yes, and we're all artists. I believe that. I really believe that we're all artists. I feel like I consider myself to be an artist. What I create feels like art to me. I see art in a lot of things. Like, I couldn't tell you the first thing about traditional art. If I went to an art gallery, I'd be one of the most ignorant people, because I just don't have the interest in the kind of knowledge. I've never studied it. I've never wanted to. But I see art, to me, in different forms. I can see art in food, for example. I can see art in nature. I see it. That's how I relate to it. So we all have our ways. So tap into that, especially we've got the weekend coming up. But you are a creative being. So that is all. I'm going to jump off now and switch off. So I send you lots of love. Thank you for tuning in. Yes, there's a great book called The Creative Wound. I like that. Creative Wound, by a friend of mine called Mark Pierce, who says similar things, and often something can hurt and stop us from creating. Yeah, that is so true, because usually, that's a good point actually, because usually, isn't it, it's that we were, and then something might have come in to create something, and then we shut down. Like I talked about in my book, there was I did a creative writing module, at university, and I had a horrible experience. It was all inside of me. No one did anything to me. It was how I represented it, and I had the most horrendous experience, and I shut down that part of me, that wanted to write. So it took me years. So releasing my book this year was a really big thing for me to do creatively, because I had to, it was like healing that, creative wound. I love that that expression. Yeah, I relate to that, because I think I had a big creative wound around writing and letting anyone read my words. So that took some time. So yeah, great. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, and that's a great book for anyone who wants to. I might check that out myself. Yeah, because it's usually something that makes us shut down. It's what we do in most things, even relationships, right? People they get burnt or they get hurt, and they close down. We close our heart down. But if we start to open it back up and we try and get into that place of safety and kind of just allowing ourselves to do it, it's so therapeutic and liberating and fun and healing. So yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. So I send you lots of love. Have a great rest of your evening, and I'll be here tomorrow, at some point. Right, lots of love. I'll see you then.